Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your December 2022 tarot card and astrology readings. Congratulations, we made it to December. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Jane for those of you who are new. I am so grateful to have you here. So as always, these readings are separated into two segments. The first segment is going to be an intuitive tarot card reading, and the second segment is going to be an astrological prediction. So you're more than welcome to watch either segment first. All the timestamps are going to be found in the description box and the comment thread down below for easy access. You can watch for your sun, moon, or rising sign, although I do recommend watching your rising sign if you are concerned about having accurate house transit information. You can certainly watch for your Venus sign if you're here for love. And if you're interested in joining my Soul Seekers group, we would absolutely love to have you on there. Soul Seekers group is where I post exclusive content specifically geared for members, where we go more in depth on specific transits, and we have a little bit more educational information coming out on there as well. So please see the timestamps in the description box and the comment thread down below to jump to each segment of the reading. I hope you guys have an amazing December. You know I love you, and I'll see you in just a sec. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your December 2022 tarot card readings. Let's go ahead here and take a look, see what comes through for you with my intuitive deck, just to open up the channel this month. So we have, okay. So I'm really feeling, the word that's coming to my mind is like the heat. Like you're feeling the heat or the pressure of trying to do a lot of things. Someone may be watching you, like a boss or like a spouse or something like that. Now, the thing is that I think you have like 3 or 4 really important things in your life that you are not willing to compromise on or to sacrifice altogether, right? Like there's not an area, like you can't compromise your family life for your career. Like you're not willing to do that, but you're also not willing to sacrifice your career for a romantic relationship, not willing to do that. You're not willing to sacrifice something with your children for more money. I mean, you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sacrifice any of those. So the thing that is really coming through for me is Virgo needs more resources. And you've hit a point where in order to, so you don't have to sacrifice any of those. And when I say sacrifice, I don't mean obviously, you're not going to eliminate your children or your parents or your spouse or anything. Obviously, you're not going to do that. It's just the attention that you're going to give to them, right? Obviously, you don't want to do that. You want it all. You want a beautiful home. You want a fat bank account. You want great friends. You want a fantastic career. And you also want your spirituality and your alone time. And you want to have fun and go out and do these great things. I mean, of course, you want all of that. So in order to have all of it, though, I think you need more coming in so you can handle other things. So, for example, if you own a business, you may need to hire people so that you can still leave at 4 or 5 in the evening so you can still be with your family when they come home from school and work. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to need people, you're going to need money, you're going to need resources, you're going to need greater inflow. So this may be a time when you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, I do feel the pressure. I'm feeling torn in too many different directions. And because I'm not willing to let any of these important areas of my life suffer, but I also can't be spread thin because then they'll all suffer. So something is going to need to change here. And so maybe at this point you're just asking for guidance right now. Oh, the candle just burned out. I'm sorry about that, guys. So maybe you're just asking the universe, God, Spirit right now for a way, or maybe you've already been thinking about that and you're already asking for guidance in terms of a strategy or a plan so you can actually keep everything going and not feel guilty for not doing one thing when you have to do another that, because I know you want to show up for everything. I know you want to show up for everyone. This is actually when the Virgo stubbornness can actually come in. It can be okay because it's important, Chariot. So what the universe needs from you is it's going to need you to be along for the ride. The universe is going to need you to hop on and be prepared for something to move quickly. Because things are going to, this word, accelerate. There have been a lot of themes emerging throughout these December readings. I got to tell you, we are at some pinnacle moment in December. I don't know what it is exactly. I can't really pinpoint it. We got some things going on, but nothing huge or massive or anything. But this is a real turning point where I think people just get really fed up with the way that something has been, and they are freaking ready for something to change. And they're willing to do it. They're willing to, it's like going to a Tony Robbins program or something, and then you come home and you may do it for a couple weeks or months, and then it kind of peters out and you tend to go back to normal. But then eventually you'll hit this point where you're like, you know what? I actually really need to implement this stuff. And then you do, and then your whole life is different. In the environment, we have the King of Coins. Well, you need resources. Here's resources. Now, this may be from one individual, but I don't think so. I think this is like if you get a better job or a promotion, or if your business turns a corner, or if you start selling something for greater income, or you develop an ebook or whatever it is to bring in more money, the money is there. I'm feeling like this infinite, with the King of Coins, there's an infinite influx here. So with that in the environment, and you may be associating with people with more resources as well, greater capital, and that could be money or knowledge, experience. And that could be really great for you in terms of guidance and helping you. Because you feel the pressure. The time is now for you to implement the changes that you've probably been talking about, or at least thinking about, for a really long time. Now, the Hierophant is a good omen. It's here to say, Virgo, you're solid. You're solid, you're good. You're connected to God. I often feel this, I always say inner Buddha, inner guru, but really he's like a direct link to source energy itself. And he's that part of us that never gets lost and never doesn't know. He has all the information, all the wisdom. He can see everything perfectly clear. And we can always come back to that place. Sometimes we don't realize that we wander, but we can always come back. If we wake up one day and we're like, okay, I've really wandered from this aspect of myself, we can always come home. And I feel, Virgo, that you are very well rooted in that seat of the soul. Okay, so you've got your power, you feel strong, you feel valuable. Oh, another King of Coins, look at that. So there's a King of Coins around you. People with a lot. I feel like that King of Coins is also a beacon of hope. It's well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And if I can follow to some degree their pattern or their method, I can do it too. Because of course a Hierophant can do anything. There is this quality of limitlessness this month with Neptune now going direct. That there's nothing we can't do at this point. And this Neptune retrograde this year, it's ending on December 3rd, which we'll talk about in the astrology portion. I'm not trying to get a little too ahead of myself, but internally, it really was about discovering our own limitlessness. Likely, the way we were doing that was discovering our limitations, only to realize that they were just decisions that we were making. So when we release or make different decisions to decisions that don't limit us, we become more free, and therefore the external world tends to mirror that freedom component. And being Sagittarius season, that's a big aspect of what's going on right now as well. Now, the Three of Swords, I think you are faced with something, and this is a massive driver for you. You're faced with the thought of having to sacrifice something over here. And that's why the pressure is on. That's why the heat got cranked up so high. Mars in the 10th. He's a very hot planet. Okay? And he's hot and he burns. He's like Sahara Desert type of energy. Okay? And we know we can't survive that very long. So we have to find a way to get out of the heat. So when we're in that hot seat, which is like, it's kind of like a Sophie's choice. Like, which one of these is going to go? And you say none of them. And then it's like, well, it's either one of them or all of them, unless you do something about it, unless you bring in more resources, or unless you learn something new, or unless you go to a new place, or whatever the case is for you as an individual. And so that pressure is on. So like, you don't really have a choice. Because you are so rigid, in a good way, rigidly not deprioritizing one of these things, you'll find a way. You will find a way. That Mercury quality of Virgo will always find a way. And he's doing a retrograde in your 5th house, so you are certainly thinking out of the box. You are certainly getting creative and doing things probably that you never thought you would do. See, exactly. Ace of Cups. There's something magical coming toward you because of your unwillingness to bend. Like, you're making the right decision by not giving up on something. You set the tone. When you are rigid, when I say rigid, I don't mean something negative by that, but when you're, maybe rigid is not the right word. When you are stern and unbendable, you are much more likely to get what you want. Like, I had a boss once who set the standard so high, like something that would, any normal person, like let's say it would take them like a couple days of a project to do. He's like, can you have it done in 4 hours? And they're like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could do it in 4 hours. But they would. Like, we would do it. So instead of taking 2 days, we would get it done in 4 hours, and that just sped everything up. You would be amazed at what can be done when that pressure and those high expectations get set upon us. And when we do it for ourselves, I don't see it being unhealthy in this context. Sometimes that can be unhealthy, but in this context, it's not. Not when the Chariot comes out, not when the Hierophant comes out, not when the Ace of Cups. Like, we'll see what else comes out. I mean, if we get a bad card, then maybe. But I don't think so. Not getting that feeling. The Ace of Cups is a blessing, and it breaks your heart to think that that you couldn't have something. So what you're looking for is solutions, and you're trying to open yourself up to something new and to something different. And now this card has started to hit me. I don't even know what happened in the past week. Just all of a sudden, bam, I started seeing the Two of Wands completely different. So what's important is what you're doing maybe is looking just right in front of you. Without this is your perceived world. You look at this little globe, you see this little world here, and that's your whole world. This is what you know exists, and this is what you know is possible for you. But what you aren't seeing is the actual real world, which is massive and huge and so much bigger than just this little thing right here. One of the reasons why you may feel all this pressure is because there is fear. Fear that the solution doesn't exist, or fear that you can't, but you don't have room. You don't have the capacity to let the fear win. So it's like, yeah, I may be afraid, but I also know that if I let the fear win, then I'm going to lose all of this. So that's literally not a choice. It's not a choice for Virgo to cower to their own fear. You have to be courageous right now. You have to put yourself in a situation that is new and disruptive to your norm. And you have to get disruptive feedback, and you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation for the sake of growth. And look, you're willing to fight. Like, I don't know what's going on with Virgo, but I'm like getting all kind of riled up. Like, Virgo's got this fighting spirit right now. Like, if we're talking about the warriors of the zodiac, I'm going to give that crown to Virgo right now. Because you are just clawing and scratching your way to the top of the pile here, because the things that you love are at stake. And the things that matter to you need more. And so there's nothing you won't do. And I feel a fearlessness coming through here. I feel a vigilance and even a virility, right? And there's it's like don't even think about it. You just do it. Because if you sat and thought about it, it might be a little scary. But don't think about it, just do it. I think the big question that you have is, does that King of Coins exist? Does that energy really circulate around you? And the answer is a resounding yes, it does. You're just not looking at it. You just don't see it yet. And so the real challenge is opening up your perspective of the world. People who are here watching tarot and astrology, maybe part of the new age, whatever, like, okay, yes, there is infinite abundance in the world. But then when you open your eyes, you see something different, and it doesn't always hold up. But now you don't have a choice but to look beyond your known world here. You don't have a choice because you're not giving yourself that choice. You're not negotiating with yourself. Growth and expansion is the only option. That fourth house is a very strong house. See, one thing Virgo does really well is it guilts itself. I mean, every person can do it, but Virgo has that more exacting quality to it, where they always want to live up to their own idea of perfection. Virgo is in this constant competition with themselves. This is what I feel like. Virgo and Scorpio, this is kind of where those two signs are similar. Always in competition with themselves. And if there is even a notion, even an ounce of possibility that if you don't fight for this and you don't put yourself in those uncomfortable situations and you don't ask for more, if you don't do that, you're going to be sent not only, I mean, it's just like I said, none of these are going to flourish. Everything is going to suffer. It's like, if you want your garden to do well, you have to water your entire garden. You can't just water one little corner because, maybe the tomato plants will do okay, but you need other nutrients too. Like, you can't live on just tomatoes and that's it. You have to have everything in order to stay well and healthy. There has to be a variety. All right, like you can't only have a successful career and have nothing outside of that, because you'll slowly die inside, right? And it's like, that, and that's not what you want. It's never what you wanted. So the notion that your garden is not going to get fully watered, or not getting as much water as it needs, where the whole garden is sort of like scraggly and kind of brown, or like that, terrifies you. This is one instant where I actually think fear is a good thing. Very rare when I say that. Fear is just one of those things that if you don't know how to use it, it can be a huge blockage most of the time. But a lot of times fear motivates us to go out into the world and do great things. And I think that's what's happening, is the fear of the 5 of coins is forcing you on this new adventure. And that's great, because it's like your unwillingness to, I'm kind of getting like old medieval times, the little villages fighting against the big royal armies. Like, we're not going to sacrifice our farms for you. You can't do that. You got to fight for it. Bare minimum, you have to fight. So, Queen of Swords, no emotion. Now, I'm not saying this won't be an emotional month. Chances are, yes. With Neptune going direct and Chiron going direct, there will be a lot of emotion. And we're going to feel a lot, and we're going to have to confront a lot, and we're going to have to, be prepared emotionally and mentally for the surfacing of stuff. But at the end of the day, this is about decisions. At the end of the day, this is about action, and the way decision and action is a magical pairing. And I feel like the Queen of Swords is so on point with her decision-making process. She is so on point with her judgments and her wisdom. She does have a fearless quality because she is capable of seeing the big picture, because she's way, way, way up on the mountain. So she is capable of looking down on things and seeing the entire village as a whole. And I think having that higher perspective, thank you Sagittarius season, having that higher perspective, it tends to lessen the blow of those short-term decisions, or those decisions that are right in front of your face. Because if you can see things in a grander scale, it doesn't seem as threatening. But this is just something Virgo has to do. Like I say, like, the pressure is on. That heat valve has gone way up. And if you want to get, just hit my microphone, sorry about that. If you want to get out of the heat, you got to try, All right, let's take out some clarifiers. I think this is going to be a very interesting, comprehensive reading. So for those of you who are new, the cards I'm about to pull out, we're going to talk for another 25 to 30 minutes about all the new cards. All that information for the comprehensive reading is down in the description box in the comment thread. There are different options. There are single time purchase and subscription options. So please just make sure that you select the right option for you. So let's go ahead and pull these cards out, clarifying the Chariot. Let's go ahead and get started here. For the Chariot, what else does Virgo need to know regarding what the universe needs from them? Oh man, Judgment. This card has been coming out like crazy, which is weird because Judgment doesn't normally do that. It's not one of those cards that just comes out over and over and over again. What else, Virgo? Ooh, another 7 of Wands. Needs you to fight. Needs you to put yourself in that place of discomfort. Yeah, see? Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that. Okay. So in the environment, what else is in the environment for Virgo in addition to this King of Coins? 7 of Swords. Three of Coins. Beautiful Ace of Swords. I love it. Okay. Now we're going to clarify this Hierophant. What else for Virgo? Page of Coins reversed. 6 of Wands. 9 of Coins. Definitely a lot about your confidence coming through, Virgo. Ooh, the Sun on top of that 3 of Swords. Sun and Temperance and the Eight of Wands. What does Virgo need to know about this King of Coins? Another Seven of Wands, my goodness. Okay, we get it. we get it. A Queen of Wands as well. And a Three of Wands reversed. We have the Six of Cups. The World. Oh, another Three of Swords. I'm going to pull one more to clarify that Three of Swords. Hold on. Hierophant. Okay. It's not that bad. All right. Two of Wands. Ooh, another Two of Wands. Ace of Swords reversed. Seven of Swords. This is the doubt that I'm talking about. Like, we are going to have to contend with our doubt like crazy throughout December and yet still do it anyway. Like, this is like Superman type stuff, okay? Three of Cups reversed, Justice, Emperor, beautiful. Your self-concept is rapidly evolving. Moon. Nine of Wands, reversed, and Strength. Okay, well, we have the Four of Wands reversed, the Two of Swords reversed, and then I saw this one under here. Nine of Cups reversed as well. Last but not least, the Queen of Swords. What else does Virgo need to know about the Queen of Swords? Six of Coins. Another Three of Coins. And the Hermit. Okay, beautiful. All right, Virgo, this is where we're going to pick up. Again, all the info in the description box in the comment thread down below. Thank you all so much. You guys know I love and adore you. Have an amazing December, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to the astrology portion of your reading for December 2022. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So as we begin December, the sun is at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, and we have Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius as well in the fourth house. Now, the fourth house is a very private house. You may have a lot of activity going on in your personal world that the rest of the world does not necessarily have access to. You may be working on things. You may be doing a lot of home improvements, focusing on your families. Of course, December, a lot of people celebrate different types of holidays. Would make sense that you would be, in your home environment doing things, not necessarily in the workplace, and spending time with the people that you love the most. And I think you're going to take a lot of pleasure in that, especially because I know how hard you've worked this year, how much you've learned this year, especially with that Saturn in the sixth house. I know that Virgos have been dedicated. It's like forced dedication to their improvement in some way, shape, or form. And so this is going to be a nice respite for Virgo to just unwind, relax, unplug, and just kind of take a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure in the good things that they have in life. You are fortunate, I would say that Sagittarius risings and Virgo risings are fortunate in that they do have Jupiter ruled fourth houses. I'm not saying your home life was exactly perfect, but there does seem to be, pleasure in that private space, and a lot of expansion and a lot of growth that occurs while you are there, while you are at home. So first and foremost, I'm just going to run down these transits. December 3rd is the first big one that we have, and it's December 3rd. Neptune goes direct over here in Pisces. And yes, Virgo, you will feel this because the opposition energy is always felt, especially if you have a major Virgo planet or sun or moon, or if your rising degree or whatever is around the 22nd degree, or give or take a few degrees. Neptune in the seventh house could also mean that something is going on with your partners. You'll feel it too in your own personal world, but your partner, likely there could be some hurdle that they're going to need to get through, and they may experience a lot of emotional upheaval too. They may experience an emotional purge. Well, either of you may experience an emotional purge. You could have some kind of a spiritual breakthrough. There could be some confusion briefly about something, but that will be quickly rectified with the full moon, which is just happening a few days later. So if you are experiencing like a few days where you're just needing a little bit extra sleep or rest, please take that. With the fourth house activity especially, you just may not have the desire to just go. It's like you definitely could, but you just may not necessarily have that desire. But I do think that there is something going on with this full moon where it's like you must do something, right? So let's get to that in just a second. I'm just getting a little bit ahead of myself. But anyway, so there could be a little bit of emotion at the beginning of the month. And then on the 6th, we have Mercury coming into Capricorn. Now, Mercury is going to be doing a retrograde in Capricorn later the month. This is obviously relevant for you because it's your ruling planet. You go through this multiple times a year. And so for the majority of December, it is going to be going through its pre-shadow phase, and it is going to be slowing down. Now, obviously, Capricorn, Saturn ruled, it's a harsher sign, it's a harsher environment. I'm not saying Mercury doesn't like to be there, but it's just not like a super fun and a fun place, you know? And we do need to really focus on things. There are going to be certain duties and certain obligations that we feel determined now more than ever to really fulfill. And if there's something going on with a partner, we may feel like we kind of got to take on that mama bear energy as well and be a little bit more in that protective space. Like we got to go out there and we have to fix the problem or find a solution and we got to do whatever we got to do. So that's happening on the 6th, and then the 7th is when we have the full moon conjunct Mars in the 10th. So after a few days of weirdness, the moon comes in full brightness right next to Mars, and Mars is getting a little bit of a break right now because being in retrograde is not his fate. I mean, this is Mars. He wants to be on the battlefield. He doesn't want to be like in the back office doing strategy work, right? That's not his gig. He wants to be on the battlefield. He wants to be fighting, and he wants to be accomplishing the goals. So when the moon comes in and gives him a little bit of light to shine and be like, hey, look at me, he's going to kind of take advantage of that and say, you know what, there's something we got to freaking do. Like we've been culminating on it for maybe a little bit too long, and we have to do something. Now, what's kind of interesting about this full moon with Mars involvement is that with Mercury in Capricorn, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, and Mars is a planet that is exalted in Capricorn. Capricorn is cardinal. So there are going to be feelings of initiation that we are going to have to initiate something, a conversation. We're going to have to reach out to someone and be like, hey, I really need this from you. Can you please help me with this? And it's going to be really directive. And I think in a lot of ways, Virgo, like I say, they're kind of taking on that mama bear quality, protecting their family, protecting their spouse, if you have one, protecting your private world. And in order to preserve that to some degree, you're needing to do something. Like you may need to bring in more resources. The fact that your 10th house is being illuminated suggests that you may be doing something with your career and you may be taking bigger leaps. And because Uranus has been conjunct North Node since August, September, October, November, and now it's its final month of December, it will officially go direct, Uranus will go direct in January. Therefore, that conjunction will start to separate. But this is like the last big shebang of this conjunction, which is kind of this portal, if you will, or it's like a doorway that if we cross the threshold, we're opening the door here to a great deal of abundance here in this 9th house. financial abundance, and spiritual growth as well. Ninth house really is both. It's not just spirituality and religion and education and philosophy and law. It's not all just that. There's a lot of materialism that comes through here as well. A lot of money that can come through here sometimes too. So I know that sense of urgency for more resources, more understanding, more knowledge, whatever the case is, you want more so you can accomplish more. Because you probably hit some kind of a wall at some point, like Saturn came in, it was like, all right, well, you're really good at what you do, but the question is do you want to keep doing this for the rest of your life? And the answer, if the answer was no, this is that moment where you say, okay, I have to break through something and I have to make more happen faster. So this moon conjunct Mars absolutely is getting all of us to take bigger leaps of faith. But because Mars and the moon are both quite volatile and they can come up in intensity and then they just crash, we have to consciously retain and hold on to mentally that feeling of wanting to do it. Because as the moon wanes, now I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but just bear with me. As the moon wanes to its new moon position in Capricorn, which is its sign of detriment, it's a very weak moon. Capricorn is a very dark sign. We have the longest night of the year on the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. So when we have that longest night, we have all this darkness. Saturn is associated with like even the color black, right? Saturn is associated with that color black. It's associated with the metal of lead. It's just not like the best place for the moon. It's just not a life-giving environment. It's really cold. It can be a little bit dry, and it's just like there's not a lot of life can come through there. So if we let ourselves get the better of ourselves, right? If we let us get the best of ourselves, this could be a moment where all that energy from the full moon conjunct Mars comes crashing down, and then we sabotage, and then nothing ever comes out of it. And it can all happen so fast in December. It's like highest high and then the lowest low, just like a blink of an eye. But if you really are determined for this, your consciousness, your mind, your actions, they can all line up. Okay? So anyway, I got a little ahead of myself there, but I wanted to preempt that. So the full moon is on the 7th, and then on the 9th, we have Venus coming into Capricorn. So Mercury and Venus will both be in Capricorn at that time. And of course, Venus is returning to the same sign that she was in at the beginning of 2022 when she was retrograding up against Pluto. So really ask yourself, how was your January, February, and March of last year? How did that really go? I mean, I know for me, I was being hooked up to a machine 4 times a week, 4 hours a day, could barely get out of bed, barely climb up the stairs, could barely eat, right? I mean, it was like the hardest period of my life. Not everyone had that. I'm being extreme just with my own personal example, but a lot of people did have some hard times. There was a lot of confusion because there was so much Pisces energy at the time. Venus was retrograde. A lot of relationships went through some stuff. And for you in the 5th house, like that joy and that happiness and that like fun and entertainment, like it just was hard to get. So now here she is returning to this place. First time she's arriving since that retrograde, and she's got her head held high, and she's like, look, Capricorn, you thought I couldn't do it, but look at what a warrior I am. Everyone always underestimates Venus. She's a goddess still. She has incredible power. And so when she's underestimated, she has to prove herself. And so I think a lot of us throughout the year of 2022, we did have to prove ourselves, specifically to ourselves. All right, so we had to prove it. And she's coming back and she's like, look at what all I did. Look at all that I accomplished. Look at how far I've come. And look at how different my life is now from even just 10 months ago. So that's the 9th. And then we don't really have anything huge until the 20th, which is when Jupiter over here in Pisces re-enters into Aries. Now, I do like For those of you who are coupled or have business partners or have any kind of legal or binding commitments with people, clients, employers, all that kind of stuff is included. When a planet like Jupiter is here, chances are it's going to be great. Chances are those relationships could really flourish. Your spouse's money could improve. You know, if you have debt, it's possible that you could start paying it off, you know, like student loan, mortgage debt, credit card debt, that kind of thing. The thing you have to be a little bit careful of with Jupiter coming in is the debt component. If you're not a literate finance person, like if you're not financially literate, what I'm trying to say, you could not understand debt that well. And you may not know how to use it or leverage it properly. And you may be like, oh, it's a credit card. Oh, it's good. Like, no, there's a big difference, you know. And so please do not rack up your credit card debt. Please do not take out car loans that you cannot afford. Please do not buy things that are beyond your means, because that tendency with Jupiter in the 8th house aspecting the 2nd can do that sometimes. Remember that Aries is a Mars-ruled sign, and he just wants to like do it. He doesn't want to think about the consequences, and Jupiter comes in and magnifies a lot of that. So a lot of control is going to be needed. But if you understand what's best and what's good, like if you take out a loan against a life insurance policy, it's a lot different than taking out a loan on your credit card, right? I mean, two totally, completely different things. But you can still accomplish the same thing. There's just a smart way to do it and maybe a not super smart way to do it. So, but yet either way, there still could also be a lot of blessings, because that is what Jupiter does. He does bring blessings. So your spouse's money, you could succeed as much as your clients or as much as your, legally binded people. There could also be, for some of you, an inheritance or some kind of a win financially that could be really great. Some of you could get involved in some kind of a project or something. It's kind of like a pool of resources here in the 8th house. So, if you are investing in some kind of a startup, it's likely a good time for that. Just be careful of that, because you just want to make sure Chiron's not really involved. So maybe next year would be better, but the beginning part of it is okay too. The first, like late December, early January, it should be fine. Okay. And then on the 21st, then we have the sun coming into Capricorn. So we'll have all this Capricorn energy, Venus, Mercury, and the sun. Mercury by that point, super, super slow in the sky, preparing for his retrograde. And then a couple days later, we have that new moon in Capricorn, which is on the 23rd. So remember, I said it's going to wane. And the reason why, not only because it's Capricorn, all right, but also because that exact same day, Chiron goes direct. So this is going to be yet another opportunity for us to self-sabotage. It's going to be yet another opportunity. The good news is that many of us on the 23rd will be around family. I'm not saying everyone celebrates Christmas or whatnot, but usually there's just a lot of holiday stuff going on that week. And so a lot of people take off work, a lot of businesses are closed and whatnot. So the good news is we might not really be thinking that much about our businesses and all that during that time, because we're going to be busy with other things. So the likelihood of self-sabotage is pretty low unless you're feeling all of this, intensity and whatnot. This could be emotional. There could be a lot of triggers. Being around family does tend to do that. So that's not that surprising, being triggered. But also it's like an opportunity for us to say, okay, how solid am I really in my spiritual knowledge, right? They always say like, oh, you think you're so enlightened. And then you spend a week with your family and all of it just goes to hell, right? Because you realize you can be enlightened all you want up here. But when you start relating with people, it's a totally different story. And your family, what do they always say too? Like your family knows how to hit your triggers because they installed them in the first place. It's like they know exactly what to do to get you to go off a little bit. So that's not surprising at all. And then, so that new moon in Capricorn, in the Saturn decan, using modern decan rulerships here. Again, the moon is in detriment. The sun is not super strong. There's a lot of darkness in the sky, so it's just kind of a weird feeling. Now, this could be a beautiful time for manifestations for a lot of your creations, because especially if you are asking for expansion, it will require your creative efforts. It will require a lot of your talents and your skills that you are applying to your creative passions as well. So there is a connection there. So manifesting at that time with that full moon, with that new moon, kind of here. I'm kind of on the fence with that one just because Saturn is involved. Kind of on the fence. But if you don't mind Saturn energy and you have a lot of it in your chart, like I know I do, so I actually can thrive often under Saturn energy. Sometimes it depends. You have to know yourself enough to know whether or not you can be productive with Saturn energy or if it's going to feel a little bit more oppressive. And then Mercury goes retrograde on the 29th. And it's not technically coming into a full conjunction with Pluto. It is going to come close to the 24th degree. So again, it's not fully there, but it is close. So there may be a little bit of Plutonian influence there. But we'll talk a little bit more about that Mercury retrograde in the January readings as we approach the end of December. Okay? All right, you guys, you know how much I love you. Have an amazing month, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.